Welcome, fans. We are back once again on the Cheapy Productions Podcast Network. My name is Jack Kilby, No Gimmicks Guy on the socials, and we have episode 5 of a little thing we're calling Fast Forward to Flex Frozen Fight Night. And this interview is one that I've been looking forward to because I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling, and this man is one half of one of the premier standout tag teams in all of independent wrestling. And we've got a lot to talk about, most notably the war that will be happening at Frozen Fight Night on February 28th against the famous Good Brothers of Gallows and Anderson. And I am pleased to welcome to the show Cloudy of the High Seas. Thanks for coming on today, sir.
Thanks for having me, Jack. I appreciate it. I'm Cloudy. I am not good enough to promote any of my social media like you are. I should be a lot better at that. But thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to talking to you about Flex and everything else that's going on.
Well, we'll have a portion at the end where you can let the fans know where they can find you and all the matters that you have ongoing. But I guess it's always a good place to start to ask you about how did you get involved in this business, this pro wrestling business? Was there a motivating factor? Were you a fan? It's always an interesting story.
Yeah. So I've been wrestling now for give or take 24 years, quote unquote, professionally. I got into wrestling. I always like telling the story because it's very funny because it's very not who I am. But when I was growing up, my cousin was a big wrestling fan. And when I was very young, would try to get me to watch like WWF Superstars. And it just never really caught my attention. But then when I got a little bit older, he showed me Japanese death matches, particularly Mitsuhiro Matsunaga is my my go-to guy, and I it's obviously not something that is my style by any means, but it was just he was so interested in it, and it was really cool at the time. And then that fed into ECW in the upcoming, and I remember Heatwave '98 is a seminal pay-per-view for myself or in general for, pro wrestling. Had whether or not it holds up as much today as it did at the time, had a Rob Van Dam and Sabu against Jinsei Shinzaki and Hayabusa, which was a very, at the time, just kind of, obviously I wasn't really that privy to wrestling, but obviously I could tell that it was very cool. And kind of ever since, so I was 13 at the time, have just always loved pro wrestling, with ECW, obviously made my way over. And, the first episode of Raw that I watched was the Stone Cold Beer Truck episode. So I had a pretty good, foundation as far as like what wrestling was. And so, at like 13, me and my friends would do backyard wrestling, and kind of whatever, got better at that. And we built a ring and were serious about it, as serious as you can be. And then one of the kids that I backyarded with, told me about a local school, which was World of Hurt Pro Wrestling in Schenectady, New York. Where I started training when I was 16, and kind of it all kind of snowballed from there. I mean, I guess it's been snowballing since I was a very young child, but yeah. So that was how I kind of got in, and how I got to this point. I mean, I met H.C. Loke, founder of Flex Wrestling, 2 years later when I was 18. When he was the commander of the Ring for Ring of Honor at the time. And my mentor / somewhat trainer, Oman Tortuga of the Outcast Killers, a seminal tag team in early Ring of Honor. got me in touch with him. Obviously, just continuation of that. Loke himself gave me the name Cloudy. So I have a lot to owe to him. And yeah, so that's kind of, I guess, short story long, perhaps.
Well, it's sounds like you have an excellent foundation in terms of tag team wrestling. I want to ask about how your partnership with Captain Nick Ando came together, and were you or growing up, did tag team wrestling interest you? How did that come together for you at this time?
Yeah, so I mean, if anyone knows my career, I like I said, I came up in uh 2003. I joined Special K as Cloudy in Ring of Honor as part of that group. It kind of just right place, right time, getting in and kind of being in a group of like-minded and bodied individuals. And then so HC Loke had his partner Tony DeVito. They were the Carnage crew. And so I was a part of some matches in Special K. And then Tony DeVito was a trainer as well. And he had a student by the name of Cheech, who was a former partner of mine. We were kind of put together at some point because of our names and our, presences and so on and so forth. So we wrestled as Up in Smoke for a number of years. And that's probably honestly where I became a fan of tag team wrestling. Not that I mean, I've always loved all types of wrestling. But beforehand, thinking about it, I wouldn't have said that I was like a big tag team guy. And then, I mean, I was just a fan of all pro wrestling. But like, I mean, I had a reverence for the Legion of Doom randomly. But that came from a video game, not so much actual wrestling, even though, I mean, LOD is still really cool. And so me and Cheech teamed for a number of years. We ended up breaking up in 2008, I believe, after a handful of years. I kind of went out on my own for a little bit. And one of the students of the schools that I was a part of at the time, Upstate Pro Wrestling, Colin Delaney was the head trainer, where I met Nick Ando, who had come in, and we kind of just became fast friends. And exactly how we became teaming, I honestly don't remember it as much. It was kind of just there was a show, there was an opportunity. We were friends. Hey, let's form a tag team. And that kind of just went from there. Kind of whatever. I'm always running on momentum. Nothing has ever planned. I feel like everything that I have been a part of or obtained, it was always, I was in a place at a time and things happened, and yeah, and so things just kind of continued. We teamed here and there. When we actually came up with the team name, I don't really know how. We've been teaming since 2015, give or take. I was actually just looking at our cage match last night because my memory of time frames is lacking, to say the least. But somewhere in between 2015 and 2017. So we've been teaming for about 10 years or so now. And yeah, and now I'm the biggest fan of tag team wrestling. It is such a different animal. I mean, I loved the Motor City Machine Guns for the longest time. I thankfully got the opportunity to work them a number of years ago with Cheech for a company called 2CW. But their New Japan junior tag run, that generation is probably some of the best tag team wrestling nowadays. I mean, I've loved the Young Bucks forever, say what you will, but I think they are probably one of the best tag teams ever. And, you know, obviously, I like to say that pro wrestling is the greatest entertainment because there can be something for everyone, where on a show, maybe the Young Bucks aren't your cup of tea, but there is something somewhere else that hopefully, you know, catches your attention. I know they're not as hot button a topic anymore, but yeah, no, love tag team wrestling, and all pro wrestling. I don't know if that really answered your question, but
no, that's perfect. Having seen you perform with Nick on a couple of occasions now, it strikes me, man, that when you guys are out there, from the moment you come out, the crowd, there's some real heat there. You guys really inspire that sort of emotional response that you want as heels. And notwithstanding your time spent together, you guys do have like chemistry that really clicks in there. And you don't always get that. You know, people can throw individuals together, disparate individuals, and it doesn't happen. But why do you think that works so well for you guys?
Well, I mean, I've known Nick now since, at the very least, since I moved to Rochester, New York, where I live now, in 2008. So, I mean, I've known him for close to 20 years. We've been friends for all of that time. So we spend a lot of time outside of the ring as well as inside of the ring. So, I mean, at this point, we know each other pretty well. And yeah, I mean, with wrestling, you're obviously traveling a lot, and we've traveled to a lot of shows together. We've been trapped inside of cars for long periods of time. And I feel like if you click with someone, that is where you're going to, you know, connect as much as you can, because you're trapped. Maybe there's two of you. Obviously, we try to fill a car out, but usually it's full of friends. I mean, they say that, you know, they pay me to travel. I'd wrestle for free. But I mean, the length of time that travel can take me ridiculous, but one of the best parts of wrestling is being in a car with your friends, traveling to some, you know, who knows, ridiculous location, and just, you know, making the best of it. So yeah, I think me and Nick connect very much on the outside of the ring, and then we both separately were singles competitors as well as in tag teams with other people. So we've kind of, you know, done a lot outside of, you know, just what we have done together for the last 10 years or so. So yeah, so I think it's just, I mean, at this point, and I wouldn't even say we're always on the same page necessarily, but we're pretty in sync, where if we are off of the same page, whoever has the more dominant opinion, we can, like, if he feels very strongly about something, or if I feel very strongly about something, we're both very easily can concede and not necessarily. We used to argue quite a bit, but we've definitely gotten a lot better at it more recently, as far as who has the better ideas. I think we've recently, probably within the last like 3 to 5 years, have really kind of meshed and are very much on the same page together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really apparent in your matches. You've competed as High Season, you know, some pretty credible companies that don't have WWE or AEW in their name. Like you mentioned 2CW, and what a great company that was and is under, you know, Strangler Steve King, Ben Hameen. and also GCW as well. What's been your I guess your favorite or most intense match as a team thus far?
That's a great question. We've definitely had a lot of matches that I really enjoy. We actually have, not to promote other shows, but we do actually have a tag title match coming up at the end of this month on February 21st for Immortal Championship Wrestling in Delancey, New York, perhaps, off the top of my head. February 21st, Immortal Championship Wrestling. And we are facing a team by the name of CXR, TJ Epics, and Chael Connors. They are also Loke proteges coming out of a combination of UPW and Fighting Arts Academy. And we've wrestled a number of times at this point. But we had a 2 out of 3 falls match for the ESW tag team titles in Buffalo. And I think we always have some great matches. And then obviously I can't forget my former tag team partner, Cheech, also found a new partner of his own when we split up in Colin Delaney, To Infinity and Beyond. Two of my best friends. We collectively are known as a foursome, a group out of Rochester, because we all kind of came up together. But we've had a number of matches with them as well that we actually defeated them for the ESW tag team titles that CXR took from us in a ladder match at ESW 2 or 3 years ago at this point. So those are probably the two teams that we've wrestled the most and have the best chemistry with. As far as like outside guys, I mean, most recently we wrestled the Rascals of Trey Miguel and Zach Wentz at the 2CW reunion show, like you were saying. That was obviously a great matchup. That was kind of on our bucket list for a while. Had been fans of them for a while, so glad to see where they've kind of gotten to. So they're definitely great opponents as well. And if I can think of one more cool one, we did get to wrestle the Outrunners as well, kind of right before they struck it big. I kind of like to think of ourselves as it's not a very timely reference. There is a Dane Cook movie called Good Luck Chuck, where every girl he dated after they broke up, they went on to bigger and better things. And sometimes a part of me thinks that me and Nick Ando kind of have that luck or unluck, as it will. And so, hey, if you want to make it big, you know where to find us. So, but yeah, no, we've had a number of great opponents over the years, but I think currently, I think that's probably a pretty good selection of some of our best.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You know, the indie scene in general, as you know, can be very brutal in terms of, you already touched on the travel, multi-promotional bookings, physically challenging matches, depending on what it is. How have you kept focused? So now that you're a well-established and successful veteran, how have you kept focus and positive, grinding it out, as they say, paying those dues that really test your mettle, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have paid my fair share of dues and then some. That's a really good question. I still think you kind of never stop paying dues to a degree. I mean, I will obviously me and Nick Ando, as well as a group of us, Colin Delaney, Cheech, Maddock, and then Chris Worthless, 3 years ago this month, actually opened up a wrestling school in Rochester, New York. And so at this point, I mean, wrestling has been a part of my life for more than half of my life. It obviously hasn't always been easy, but it has given me, to say everything in my life is kind of a bit of a stretch. But it has given me a very interesting and fun life that I wouldn't trade for anything. And some of the worst stories are going to be some of your best stories after the fact. So I always try to kind of pass that down. But yeah, no, I mean, it's something I love. It's an art form that I get to still create to this day. Obviously, I'm a little bit older, so I have a little bit of lower back pain. But I talk to other people who don't do this for a living, and they're all beat up too. So I don't think I'm any worse off than anybody else. So yeah, there's just something. The one thing that I like to wrestling in general, and what we particularly try to give at our school is a sense of community. The amount of people that I have met, the connections that I have made that span the globe, of people that I have interacted with one time maybe, but like now we're friends on Facebook and I keep track of what they're doing, and like, and it's just the amount of people that I've met and the community that I'm a part of and am continuing to build, make everything worthwhile. And even like I said, I mean, traveling can be monotonous at times, but it can also be some of the most fun parts of doing this, of just, it being 4 a.m. and you're driving through the night and you're just exhausted, and in order to keep yourself up, you guys are just having the most ridiculous conversation, and just something that would probably not happen in a normal conventional setting. And so, yeah, as much as I can be grumpy sometimes about traveling now and whatever, and obviously I still do it, and I still love every second of it.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned Rochester as a hub for your work, but it seems that New York State as a whole is quite the hot territory. There's so much good talent there. You've got minds you've mentioned, like Loke, Steve King, Hameen. I'm missing quite a few, but guys that really get it and understand the business and the best way to present pro wrestling. What is it that you think right now makes New York State such a hotbed for independent wrestling? Something that we don't see up here in Ontario, for example.
Interesting. See, I would think Ontario would still be a pretty good hotbed. I mean, I feel like I've talked to some Canadian. Obviously, unfortunately, I'm not allowed in the country anymore. That story I won't necessarily tell, but it's been quite a while since I've been in Canada. But I guess it depends on what the difference is, because quantity doesn't necessarily always mean quality. But I mean, particularly for like where I'm located in upstate New York, what we call the Rust Belt, Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, probably Albany becomes the next, place at that point. So this long stretch of 90 connecting some of the larger cities in upstate New York. I don't really know, because I mean, like, particularly right now, it is. I mean, you live in Canada, so I mean, it's not like you're not used to the snow and the crappy weather, and so that's kind of something that we share. This winter, particularly, has been
horrendous,
the worst. So it's cold, it's snowy, and like I don't really like traveling necessarily. And so locally in Brockport on Saturday, there was a show. IWF, where Nick Ando is the current heavyweight champion. And I was just going to go hang out, and I got on the roads and I was like, I'm going to not risk this one. I was like, there's no way that people are going to come out to see a wrestling show. And I mean, I will say that when I'm wrong, and they ended up having like a sold out house. And it's definitely, I mean, people are definitely looking for fun things to do around here. I feel like, I mean, a lot of us have been trying to build this scene now for, I mean, I moved to Rochester, like I said, in 2008. So almost 20 years, whether it be with Upstate Pro Wrestling, which is one of the foundations of wrestling in this area, ESW out of Buffalo, that's been a big staple for a long time. I mean, 2CW that had, I mean, 2CW was a different animal. They were one of the only truly touring organizations. And now One Up Pro Wrestling, which is kind of I think a seed of 2CW in a way. A lot of the people that were involved with that company have now started, and they tour a little bit. They don't necessarily have a home, but I would say Syracuse is kind of where they're located. And yeah, I mean, I think all of the things that I said earlier about like why I love pro wrestling is why we all kind of continue to breathe life into it. Because I don't think there's really any other art form or athletic or combination of the two that is anything like this. And even when I still watch wrestling, I mean, maybe not as religiously or regularly as I used to, but it's always so interesting of just like, man, there's just like hours and hours of televised pro wrestling every week that like, I don't even know how one person could even consume this much information all the time. And, but like people are, you know, it's their hobby. It's what they enjoy, which I mean, more power to the people that have the bandwidth to do that, because I mean, we wouldn't be here kind of without them. But yeah, no, I just think that like, I mean, recently since we started our school, our goal, and not that it was necessarily, I mean, there was some hostility, and there is still some hostility between promotions, but I mean, our goal was to kind of create a branch to all of these promotions in the area. We do monthly, like, what would you call them? Like studio tapings, where we invite students from all of the pro wrestling schools in the area. And people drive, I mean, we've had people drive in from Ohio and just to perform in front of your peers. I mean, obviously we posted on YouTube every week as well. But yeah, I think just a lot of us, I mean, love the community that we have internally. And obviously the reason why we all want to do this is performing in front of a crowd. Loke, I don't know if it was necessarily, he may have been quoting someone, but he would always just say anytime, like if you're paying dues or whatever, it's like, cheer up, kid, you're wrestling today. And like, there is no other experience that I have had in life that replicates getting in a ring and, doing what we do. And I mean, obviously the bigger crowd, the more exciting it is. And that's not even just for the people necessarily in the ring. That's for like being in the crowd is part of it as well. Like you're a community as well of fans. And those kind of can cross, paths a little bit. But yeah, just keeping it alive, keeping, like I said, it's been the backbone of my life for, most of it. And I want to at least try to give that to one other person, if not as many people as I can. And I think that's kind of what keeps everything alive up here is just the entire area, because I wouldn't say we all necessarily work together so collaboratively. Everyone is kind of still working on their own things. But yeah, I mean, and some of the smaller towns in upstate New York, there's not really a whole lot going on, so that's always a benefit as well to both parties.
Mm-hmm. Well, fans, you're going to want to go to flexwrestling.com right now and get those tickets for February 28th at the lovely Mud Creek Bison Ranch Frozen Fight Night. We're going to be talking more specifically about High C's match with the Good Brothers, but man, it's headlined by a ladder match between Sean Carr, the Hybrid, and Shale Connors for that brand newly minted Flex Heavyweight Championship. It's going to be a stacked card from top to bottom. The seating is going very quickly and it's limited, so make sure you go to flexwrestling.com and do that. And while you're there, don't forget the next Flex card will be March 21st, 2026 at the Hangar Theater in Ithaca, New York. WWE veteran superstar Carlito will be on that card, Sonny Kiss, and it will be the next stop on the Kingpin's last great run. That's right. Angel Medina will be there on the card, and he's going to be calling it quits after 2026. Proud to manage him. He'll be there, and so much more. So while you're at flexwrestling.com, pick up both sets of tickets. Speaking of Flex, wanted to ask you, what were you thinking when you got the call and how you got the call when you heard of this entity that seemingly was meant to be? Because from my understanding, it came together bang like that. What were you thinking when you got that call?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've known Loke now for, probably more than 20 years. He was kind of my, he was not necessarily my wrestling dad, maybe a little bit, more of like a wrestling uncle, but he's always kind of been, had my back from the beginning. For what reason, I don't know if I'll ever know, but I will always appreciate it. I've crossed paths with Loke all the time. I mean, back in UPW, we had at least one singles match, if not more than one. He was the head trainer for the Excite Pro Wrestling School for a number of years, another company that Nick and I work for. It kind of did come very much out of the blue. But like I said, I talk to Loke pretty regularly, and I'd like to think that I was on the top of his list of people that he would want to be a part of his company, which I am obviously thankful for. It came very quickly. I didn't know exactly the capacity in which it was going to be, whether it was going to be like a one-off or, obviously already, we've already had 2 shows and there's already 2 shows on the horizon. I have heard, whispers of the rest of the year filling out quite nicely as well. Possibly making some new towns, which will be super exciting. I've always loved working with Loke. Like I said, I kind of owe pretty much everything that I have to him. So working for him was obviously a no-brainer. He has had nothing but great stuff to say about us. And I will always be appreciative. And yes, jumped at the chance to do whatever he wanted to do with us. And that has, unfolded to where we're at today, coming up on February 27th.
The match that I wanted to ask you, you've got quite a resume that you've touched on some of the opponents. The last show on December the 4th at the Headbangers Ball, you faced the incredibly talented Kerry Morton and the legendary Ricky Morton. Man, you talk about tag team wrestling, doesn't get better than that legend. But you've got the Good Brothers booked for February 28th. Gallows and Anderson, you named the organization. They've held the straps. Japan, Bullet Club, you name it. They've pretty much done it all. How are you and the captain approaching this match? It's obviously high stakes for your reputation, but is it fair to say this is probably going to be your highest profile match thus far? Do you feel any pressure stepping in the ring with those guys?
So as far as Nick and I go as a team, they are probably up there as far as credibility goes. I have a pretty good resume, but we won't go into my past. But I mean, even going into this interview, just thinking about it, I mean, the Bullet Club may be, if not one of possibly the best factions that has ever existed in pro wrestling. So many iterations. I know Carl is a founding member. Off the top of my head, I can't think if they both were. I think they were. But I mean, foundational of one of the biggest things to ever happen in pro wrestling. So right there, it's like, okay, that's, I mean, awesome and very cool. I mean, me and one of my students were talking about this the other day, and he was like, oh, a lot has changed recently. I don't feel nervous anymore. And I was like, yeah, that kind of comes eventually. Every once in a while, you know, you still think about it a little bit, but I mean, I've been doing it so long that like, I don't think I'm necessarily phased. But they are some big boys. That is maybe my biggest concern. I'm obviously not the largest individual. You know, that can be, if nothing else, intimidating to a degree. I mean, me and Nick are not necessarily like far in advance game planners. Every once in a while, we'll have a discussion here or there. But honestly, we probably won't have a game plan necessarily until, we're on our way there. I mean, I've mentioned these car rides plenty of times, and if there's not one thing worth talking about, it's, what you have going on that day on the way there, and then, recanting it on the way back. Super, super exciting. I mean, just to, maybe they'll too sweet us. I don't know. Former, I mean, WWE superstars, always a cool thing to, put on the old resume. I definitely, every once in a while I'll have some people that, I would like to wrestle. But in retrospect, I'm usually, I like looking back and being like, oh man, what a cool list of performers and athletes that I've had a chance to, be in the ring with. And I've wrestled, I guess technically the Young Bucks probably weren't in Bullet Club yet, but yeah, just getting an opportunity to, wrestle a team that has, I mean, I can only imagine the caliber of guys that they've gotten to wrestle. I mean, I've obviously seen a number of their matches, but just, and being in, I don't know. It's not, fear or anything like that. Or even, I mean, I've wrestled giant guys in the past, and I've been thrown all over the place. It's not something that I necessarily am, too concerned about to a degree. But yeah, no, it'll be an interesting match, and I'm looking forward to it to see what we're able to pull out of it.
Mm-hmm. I think it'll be, as they say, not only one hell of an encounter for the fans, but everyone, the boys backstage will be paying very close attention to that one. I got to ask your prediction for the main event of the show, and that's the ladder match between the hybrid Sean Carr and Shale Connors. You will recall at Headbangers Ball, the hybrid pulled out all the stops and basically threw with great force Shale off the top rope through a table, securing the victory for himself. And there couldn't be a better initial champion given his credentials as well than Sean Carr. But I got to ask you, you're familiar again. You touched on Shale Connors as well. What an athletic youngster. I've had the first time to watch him at both Flex shows, been very impressed with his downright athleticism, enthusiasm. Who do you see coming out on top in this encounter?
That's a great question. I mean, I go way back with Sean. He's one of those guys in every area where you kind of have pillars, and he is the pillar of Binghamton, New York. There's just, ever since, 2CW is probably the first time I came into contact with him. I mean, him and Nick had a number of crazy fights, a couple of ladder matches, in fact, for the 2CW heavyweight title. So I know that Sean Carr is definitely not unfamiliar with the match type, that's for sure. I feel like they've probably traded wins there, so I don't know if Sean necessarily has the upper hand. And Chael, who I mentioned, comparatively a little bit more of a newcomer. Has probably been around maybe 5 or more years, maybe a little bit somewhere around that. So still kind of making a name for himself. But I mean, as long as I've known him, one of the most incredible athletes that I've ever been in the ring with. There's essentially nothing he can't do. And I think that is where the ladder match is going to benefit him. Sean Carr, a little bit of a high flyer, but he's been bulking up recently, trying to really get into that heavyweight mentality. So I don't know how much high flying he's going to do comparatively. So it's kind of a tough one. It's really a toss up in ladder matches. There's so many X factors. But now that the odds are not so much against Chael, I will, and since he's beaten me for a title before, I guess I will give him I don't think Sean Carr's ever beaten me for a title. Maybe, but perhaps. But I know Chael has, so I will give him I'll put my wager on him for that ladder match. I think he's got what it takes for sure.
Mm-hmm. And he's also got that extra motivation of revenge after what happened to him. So again, fans, go to flexwrestling.com, get your tickets. We're a couple of weeks away from February 28th at the Mud Creek Bison Ranch. Get those tickets now. You're going to want to experience this live. I've been involved in promoting, performing, and as a fan for many, many, many pro wrestling shows, but Flex has got an atmosphere that is very, very, very difficult to describe. It's electric, and the fans in the Flex Zone, the Mud Creek Bison Ranch, really respond. And hell, they've got the best bison burgers I think I've ever had. So going to partake again of a couple of those on February 28th, but get those tickets now. I want to wrap up with asking you, Claudia, where do you see the high seas going in the next few years? Do you have any dream opponents or bucket list goals that you're chasing this year, or are you playing it as it comes and just taking continued challenges and successes as they come?
Yeah. So, I mean, generally speaking, we're typically more the latter, where we kind of take it as it comes. We've always got our ear to the ground for, what are the big promotions? What are the hotbeds? But we do really want to, we talked at the beginning of this year. I think we had a pretty good 2025, and we just want to make this year better. We want to, work as much as we can wherever we can. As far as bucket list goes, when you talk about it on the indies, it's more like what's feasible as opposed to like Would I love to wrestle the Motor City Machine Guns again? Absolutely. Do I think that is a remote possibility anytime soon? Probably not. But as far as the indies go, this question kind of has come up a lot recently when it comes to promotions that we work for of, who would be a good a team who for competition for the high seas. And the Rascals, like I said, was always kind of our number one, and we got to accomplish that. If we were able to it's kind of a little bit different, but any of the other combinations other than Zach and Trey. But a team that I have been a big fan of recently, that I see as being as a possibility. Big fan of the Grizzled Young Vets. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes,
as far as like their actual their work, their creativity, their intensity, kind of everything they bring to the table would be where that would be. But yeah, we're just gonna keep plugging away. I mean, obviously, like I said, it's kind of a slow start to the year with the winter, but at the end of this month, we have Immortal Championship Wrestling. GCW returns to Rochester. The day after that is Flex that we are talking about right now, and then flowing into March and just continuing on. But yeah, no, we're gonna. I mean, if you are in upstate New York and there's a pro wrestling show, there's a good chance that we'll be there. We travel a little bit. Nick will be in Ohio for AIW coming up. I unfortunately won't be joining him for that one, but we've been there a handful of times as well, and hopefully the remainder of this year we can kind of return to Ohio. But yeah, no, I have my eyesight on a number of places that I'd like to work. Obviously, being a little older and traveling being a little more challenging. How far we go might be, up in the air, but depending on, what comes our way, we're definitely looking forward to 2026. And obviously, not necessarily starting off, but it's one of our first bigger matches. Starting off strong on February 28th against the Good Brothers will be certainly an interesting bout, to say the least. And I definitely don't think anyone is going to want to miss it.
Mm-mm. Where can the fans find you on the social media platform, sir?
Yeah, so I'm a millennial, so I got into social media awkwardly, so I do not have a consistent brand across them. But Facebook, once again, because I'm an old man, is probably the best way. Cloudy Wrestler, I don't even know how you find that kind of stuff. Twitter, Favorite Forecast, spelled stupidly because I didn't understand how Twitter worked when I got my handle. And on Instagram, Cloudy 1HW. You can find me there. I'm just kind of getting back into that. But really, I mean, as far as social media goes, you can always see where I'm going to be. But I recommend coming out to a show, support independent pro wrestling. There's nothing else like it. And I'll even plug, I won't because I don't think Flex is on it yet, but there's definitely a ton of ways to watch at home as well. I believe Flex will stream on YouTube. I believe they did last time.
Yes,
so I think you can check out all of their shows for free if you can't make it live, but it's definitely worth the price of admission. So if you can make it out to the Bison Creek Ranch, it is definitely an experience, and I highly recommend it. But yeah, there it is. I'm right there. Good Brothers, Sean Carr. There's gonna be a ladder match. Certainly something that you've never seen live if you haven't anything like you've seen live if you haven't seen one in person. And yeah, no, looking forward to the year. Super excited for what is on Flex's horizons. And from what I've heard, it's very cool. I think really the only thing they need is a set of tag team titles now that they have a heavyweight championship. I'm just saying. And I think the High Seas, I mean, we're 1-1, which is pretty solid record right now. I don't know if any other tag teams have a record like that. So, yeah. So here's hoping for that. And, I think I've already shared my love for HC Loc enough times, but the founder of Flex Wrestling, props out as always to my Russell uncle. But yeah, looking forward to it, and I believe I'll see you there.
Yes, sir. I am too. Big things ahead for Flex Wrestling, and I want to thank you, Cloudy, for a fascinating discussion from a real veteran's perspective, and definitely looking forward to that match on February the 28th. Thank you for coming on episode 5 of Fast Forward to Flex Frozen Fight Night. Fans, that's it for this edition of Fast Forward to Frozen Fight Night. Make sure you go to flexwrestling.com, grab those tickets. You're not going to want to miss this one. I am Jack Kilby for Cloudy, and I will see you at the matches. Thank you for watching this video. Please give it a like if you enjoyed it. Be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at Cheap Heat Productions. Don't forget to hit the notification button, and you won't miss any